Welcome to dinner. We are beginning 1 Samuel. And there was a certain man of Ramathaim, Sophim, of the mountains of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Suf, an Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives. The names of one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now this man went up from his city year by year to worship and to slaughter to Jehovah of hosts in Shiloh. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priest of Jehovah, were there. And when the day came for Elkanah to make a slaughtering, he gave portions to Peninnah his wife and to all her sons and daughters. But although he loved Hannah, he gave only 1 portion to Hannah, because Jehovah had shut up her womb. Moreover, her rival also provoked her greatly, to make her irritable, because Jehovah had shut up her womb. And so he did year by year. Whenever she went up to the house of Jehovah, she was provoked so that she wept and did not eat. And her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? And Hannah rose up after eating and drinking in Shiloh, while Eli, the priest, was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the Hekal of Jehovah. And she was bitter in life, and prayed to Jehovah, and wept greatly. And she made a vow and said, O Jehovah of hosts, if you would indeed look on the affliction of your female servant, and remember me, and not forget your female servant, but shall give your female servant a male child, then I shall give him to Jehovah all the days of his life, and let no razor come upon his head. And it came to be, as she kept on praying before Jehovah, that Eli was watching her mouth. And Hannah spoke in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard, so Eli thought she was drunk. Then Eli said to her, How long are you going to be drunk? Put your wine away from you. And Hannah answered and said, No, my master, I am a woman pained in spirit, and I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my being before Jehovah. Do not take your female servant for a daughter of Belial, for it is out of my great concern and provocation that I have spoken until now. And Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the Elohim of Yisrael give you your petition, which you have asked of him. And she said, Let your female servant find favor in your eyes. And the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no more sad. And they rose up early in the morning and worshipped before Jehovah, and returned and came to their house at Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and Jehovah remembered her. And it came to be at the turn of days that Hannah conceived and bore a son, and called his name Shemuel, because I have asked Jehovah for him. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to slaughter to Jehovah the yearly slaughtering and his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, When the child is weaned, then I shall take him, and he shall appear before Jehovah and remain forever there. And her husband Elkanah said to her, Do what is good in your eyes. Remain until you have weaned him. Only let Jehovah establish his word. And the woman remained and nursed her son until she had weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bulls and 1 ephah of flour and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of Jehovah in Shiloh, and the child was young. And they slew a bull and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my master, as your being lives, my master, I am the woman who stood by you here praying to Jehovah. I prayed for this youth, and Jehovah has granted me what I asked of him. So I have also loaned him to Jehovah. All the days that he lives he shall be loaned to Jehovah, and he worshipped there before Jehovah. And Hannah prayed and said, My heart rejoices in Jehovah. My horn has been high in Jehovah. My mouth is opened wide over my enemies, for I have rejoiced in your deliverance. There is no one set apart like Jehovah, for there is no one besides you, and there is no rock like our Elohim. Do not multiply words so proudly. Let no arrogance come from your mouth, for Jehovah is an El of knowledge, and by him deeds are weighed. Bows of the mighty are broken, and those who stumble shall be girded with strength. The satisfied have hired themselves out for bread, and the hungry have ceased. Even the barren has borne 7, and she who has many children pines away. Jehovah puts to death and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. Jehovah makes poor and makes rich. He brings low and lifts up. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the dunghill, to sit with princes and make them inherit a throne of esteem. For the supports of the earth belong to Jehovah, and he has set the world upon them. He guards the feet of his lovingly committed ones, but the wrong are silent in darkness, for man does not become mighty by power. Those who oppose Jehovah are shattered. From the heavens he thunders against them. Jehovah judges the ends of the earth, and gives strength to his sovereign, and exalts the horn of his anointed. And Elkanah went to his house at Ramah, and the youth served Jehovah before Eli the priest. And the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They did not know Jehovah. And the ruling of the priest with the people was that when any man slaughtered a slaughtering, the priest's servant shall come with a 3-pronged flesh hook in his hand while the meat was cooking, and shall strike it into the basin or kettle or cauldron or pot, and the priest would take for himself all that the flesh hook brought up. Thus they did in Shiloh to all Yisrael who came there. Also, before they burned the fat, the priest's servant would come and say to the man who slaughtered, Give meat for roasting to the priest, for he does not accept cooked meat from you, but raw. And if the man said to him, Let the fat be burned up first, then take as much as your being desires, he would then answer him, No, but give it to me now, and if not, I shall take it by strength. And the sin of the young men was very great before Jehovah, for the men despised the offering of Jehovah. But Shemuel was attending before Jehovah, a youth, wearing a linen shoulder garment. And his mother would make him a little robe, and bring it to him year by year, when she came up with her husband to slaughter the yearling slaughtering. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, Jehovah give you offspring from this woman, for the one she prayed for and gave to Jehovah. Then they would go up to their own home. And Jehovah visited Hannah, so that she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters, while the young Shemuel grew before Jehovah. And Eli was very old, and had heard all that his sons were doing to all Israel, and how they lay with the women who were assembling at the door of the tent of appointment. And he said to them, Why do you do deeds like this? For I hear of your evil deeds from all the people. No, my sons, for it is not a good report that I hear, making the people of Jehovah transgress. If one man sins against another, Elohim shall judge him. But if a man sins against Jehovah, who shall pray for him? But they did not listen to the voice of their father, though Jehovah was pleased to put them to death. And the young Shemuel was growing in stature, and was in favor with Jehovah, and also with men. And a man of Elohim came to Eli, and said to him, Thus said Jehovah, Did I not clearly reveal myself to the house of your father, when they were in Mizraim in Pharaoh's house, even to choose him out of all the tribes of Israel, to be my priest, to offer upon my slaughter place, to burn incense, and to wear a shoulder garment before me? And did I not give to the house of your father all the offerings of the children of Israel made by fire? Why do you kick at my slaughtering and my offering, which I have commanded in my dwelling place, and esteem your sons above me, to make yourself fat with the best of all the offerings of Israel my people? Therefore Jehovah, Elohim of Israel, declares, I said indeed that your house and the house of your father would walk before me forever. But now Jehovah declares, Far be it from me, for those who highly esteem me I highly esteem, and those who despise me are lightly esteemed. See, the days are coming, that I shall cut off your arm and the arm of your father's house, so that an old man shall not be found in your house. And you shall see an enemy in my dwelling place, despite all the good which Elohim does for Israel, and there shall not be an old man in your house forever. But any of your men, whom I do not cut off from my slaughter place, is to consume your eyes and grieve your life, and all the increase of your house die as men. And this is the sign to you that comes upon your two sons, upon Hophni and Phinehas. In one day they are going to die, both of them. And I shall raise up for myself a trustworthy priest, who does according to what is in my heart and in my being. And I shall build him a steadfast house, and he shall walk before my anointed forever. And it shall be that everyone who is left in your house shall come and bow down to him for a piece of silver and a cake of bread, and say, Please, put me in one of the priestly positions to eat a piece of bread. And the young Shemuel was serving Jehovah before Eli, and the word of Jehovah was rare in those days, no vision breaking forth. And it came to be in that day that Eli was lying down in his place, and his eyes had begun to grow so dim that he was unable to see. And the lamp of Elohim had not gone out in the Hekal of Jehovah, where the ark of Elohim was, and Shemuel was lying down to sleep. And Jehovah called to Shemuel, and he answered, Here I am. Then he ran to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. But he said, I did not call. Lie down again. So he went and lay down. And Jehovah again called, Shemuel. And Shemuel rose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. But he answered, My son, I did not call. Lie down again. Now Shemuel did not yet know Jehovah, and the word of Jehovah was not yet revealed to him. And Jehovah called Shemuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you did call me. Then Eli understood that Jehovah had called the youth. So Eli said to Shemuel, Go lie down, and it shall be, if he calls you, say, Speak, Jehovah, for your servant hears. And Shemuel went and lay down in his place. And Jehovah came and stood, and called as at other times, Shemuel, Shemuel. And Shemuel answered, Speak, for your servant hears. And Jehovah said to Shemuel, See, I am doing a matter in Yisrael, at which both ears of everyone who hears it shall tingle. In that day I shall confirm against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house from beginning to end. For I have declared to him that I am judging his house forever for the crookedness which he knows, because his sons cursed Elohim, and he did not rebuke them. And therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli that the crookedness of the house of Eli shall never be atoned for by slaughtering or grain offering. And Shemuel lay down until morning, and opened the doors of the house of Jehovah, and Shemuel was afraid to report the vision to Eli. Then Eli called Shemuel and said, Shemuel, my son. And he answered, Here I am. And he said, What is the word that he spoke to you? Please do not hide it from me. Elohim do so to you, and more also, if you hide a word from me of all the words that he spoke to you. And Shemuel reported to him all the words, and hid none from him. And he said, It is Jehovah. Let him do what is good in his eyes. And Shemuel grew up, and Jehovah was with him, and did not let any of his words fall to the ground. And all Yisrael from Dan to Beersheba knew that Shemuel had been established as a prophet of Jehovah. And Jehovah continued to appear in Shiloh, because Jehovah revealed himself to Shemuel in Shiloh by the word of Jehovah. Thus the word of Shemuel was to all Yisrael, and Yisrael went out to battle against the Philistines, and encamped beside Eben Haezer, while the Philistines encamped in Aphek. And the Philistines put themselves in battle array against Yisrael. And when the battle spread, Yisrael was stricken by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 men of the army in the field. And when the people came into the camp, the elders of Yisrael said, Why has Jehovah smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of Jehovah from Shiloh to us, so that he comes into our midst and save us from the hand of our enemies. And the people sent to Shiloh, and they brought from there the ark of the covenant of Jehovah of hosts, dwelling between the cherubim. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of Elohim. And when the ark of the covenant of Jehovah came into the camp, all Yisrael shouted so loudly that the earth shook. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, What is this? What is the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And when they knew that the ark of Jehovah had come into the camp, the Philistines were afraid, for they said, Elohim has come into the camp. And they said, Woe to us, for it has never been like this before. Woe to us! Who shall deliver us from the hand of these mighty Elohim? These are the Elohim who struck the Mithrites with all the plagues in the wilderness. Be strong and be men, you Philistines, that you do not become servants of the Hebrews, as they had been to you. Be men and fight. And the Philistines fought, and Yisrael was smitten, and every man fled to his tent. And the slaughter was very great, and there fell of Yisrael 30,000 foot soldiers. And the ark of Elohim was captured, and the two sons of Eli died, Hophni and Phinehas. And a man of Benjamin ran from the battle line the same day, and came to Shiloh with his garments torn and dirt on his head. And he came in and saw Eli sitting on a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of Elohim. And the man came into the city and reported it, and all the city cried out. And Eli heard the noise of the outcry and said, What is the noise of this uproar? And the man came hastily and informed Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were so dim that he was unable to see. And the man said to Eli, I am he who came from the battle, and I fled today from the battle line. And he said, What was the matter, my son? And the messenger answered and said, Yisrael has fled before the Philistines, and there has been a great slaughter among the people, and your 2 sons have died, Hophni and Phinehas, and the ark of Elohim has been captured. And it came to be, when he made mention of the ark of Elohim, that Eli fell off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died. For the man was old and heavy, and he ruled Yisrael 40 years. And his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was pregnant, about to bear. And when she heard the news that the ark of Elohim was captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and gave birth, because her pain came upon her. And about the time of her death, the woman who stood by her said to her, Do not fear, for you have borne a son. But she did not answer, nor did she set her heart to it. And she called the child Ichabod, saying, The esteem has departed from Yisrael, because the ark of Elohim was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, The esteem has departed from Yisrael, for the ark of Elohim was taken.